Hello and welcome to this round 12 here at Grand Prix Utrecht. I'm Tim Willoughby, joined as always by Matej Big Z Zadelkai, and then we see in our feature match area Jasper Grimmer from Germany. He's on Black-Green Constrictor and he's up against Joel Larsen, 25th ranked player in the world, playing Timur Dynavolt Tower, one of the breakout decks of this tournament, being played by a number of the pros, including two members of Team Channel Fireball Ice in Joel Larsen and Andres Stradsky. An interesting deck that, given enough time, can really put the hurt on a lot of different lists simply by getting Dynavolt Tower into play. But we've seen a Winding Constrictor in play, and it's the first one of these that we've seen all day.
Yeah, there hasn't been as many as I'd hoped. Lots of Mardu vehicles still, lots of unlicensed disintegrations and whatnot, but there hasn't been that much black-green flowing on top table. So I'm happy to see the Berlin-based player Jasper come in with some Winding Constrictors, but we'll see if he finds a way through these Shielded Ether Thieves. Oh, well, look at that, Rogue Refiner as well.
I like the Shielded Ether Thief a lot. It's a card I kind of turned around along just from seeing it in action this weekend. 0-4, a really nice set of stats to deal with a lot of what other people have got going on. It generates energy, but it also lets you spend some of that energy drawing cards, and we know that control decks love to draw cards.
Yeah. Rishkar would be really good on this board, but I think Jasper is running the black-green energy version. I saw Greensleeve Siphoner. I think I see a Tune with Ether. And these versions not always run Rishkar, even though it's really good with the Winding Constrictor.
Yeah, Winding Constrictor, kind of a catalyst for some of the best draws that the black-green decks can end up with. Attune with Ether here, meaning that Jasper Grimmer are going to be hitting his land drops. And I found myself asking you beforehand, are we going to expect a white-bordered deck from Jasper Grimmer? He's a player that's known to be a little bit off the wall. Sometimes he will take his regular decks and white-border them, just, to be a little bit different. It's a look. It's something that he kind of likes, but it looks like this time around, keeping it more straightforward. And there is the Greensleeve Siphoner. So much energy going on. He'll be drawing a few extra cards in coming turns, I would imagine.
Yeah, and Joel has to find a way to deal with it, because if he doesn't, then it's just going to get out of control fairly fast. Getting Jasper extra cards, trading it for life that he doesn't particularly need in this matchup is going to be a problem for Joel. And I think he does have a Dynavolt Tower, but I think he has double Dynavolt Tower, but not much to do with those.
Yeah,
Ooh.
he plays the Dynavolt Tower and a land currently at 0 energy, so he's going to need a little bit of help if he's going to get up to the 5 to start throwing lightning bolts around. And Jasper says, well, you're not dealing me any damage, maybe I'll just damage myself a little bit here. Uses Greensleeve Siphoner to draw an extra card. And with Menace, the Siphoner also means that it's a lot easier for him to get a few hits in here and there if he can just deal with even one of Joel Larsen's creatures.
Yeah, and he still has plenty of energy to keep going, and plenty of cards, among which I see a Murder, so that could clear the way for the menacing Siphoner. But we'll see. He has a lot of options, and we don't quite get to see all of the cards. Plenty of lands among those, some swamps, a forest. Yeah, and I think what Joel's plan is, he doesn't have that many instants and sorceries, but he does have another Dynavolt Tower, another Shielded Ether Thief, so I think he's just going to try to gum up the board as much as possible, develop his two towers, and then once he draws something like a Glimmer of Genius or Anticipate, he'll start going off in a way.
So there, a Murder on Shielded Ether Thief. That means that the path clear for the menacing Greensleeve Siphoner to hit in. Gains a point of energy from doing so. Larsen now on 18. And he has found an untapped land, so he's got options here.
He has a Rogue Refiner, another Dynavolt Tower, Shielded Ether Thief, and a bunch of lands.
And if he's confident in his life total, then there's a temptation to get just more Dynavolt Towers in play. Starts with a Rogue Refiner, though. Gains a bit more energy, draws a card for his trouble.
It draws another Shielded Ether Thief. I don't think he wanted the third one this early. It's funny enough, when I was talking to Joel and some of the other pros before the start of the round, they were saying how Rogue Refiner is one of the worst cards in the deck. Now he was able to develop two. They did quite like the Shielded Ether Thieves, but I don't think they want to draw 3 this early in a game.
Yeah, the first one, I guess one's been killed off, so the second one's still kind of exciting. But Verdurous Gearhulk, when you have a Winding Constrictor in play, this represents a lot of counters being moved around, and I wouldn't be surprised to see each of the 3 creatures that Jasper Grimmer has in play gaining at least one counter here.
I think that's what's going to happen. I think the Gearhulk is definitely going to get marked for 1 counter, but ultimately 2 thanks to the Constrictor. I think the Glainslift Siphoner is going to grow up to a 5-4, at least a 4-3, so that it could trade with both the Rogue Refiners if it got double blocked.
So this is the point where Jol Larsen may be tempted to respond here. He's just going to lay out dice to make it clear where he wants to put counters.
Yeah.
And it looks like that's all worked out just fine. So Jol Larsen there signaling that he doesn't have an instant speed spell to gain him 3 energy, enough to activate Dynavolt Tower.
Oh, and this is a big problem for Jol, because I think his deck is notoriously has notoriously difficult problems to deal with very big Verger's Gear Hulks. Most of his removal is burn based, and it's already a 7/7.
All right, so Shielded Ether Thief does come down here. A block will gain him 1 point of energy.
Yeah, he'll just triple block the Siphoner, I believe. Now Jasper can decide if he wants to kill the Ether Thief or kill both the Refiners, but yeah, I think he's going to go with both of the Refiners. And he still get to deal 4 damage, and has that Verger's Gear Hulk still in play.
7/7 trample, substantial blocker there.
Mm.
Glimmer of Genius, the draw for Jol Larsen. Glimmer of Genius just working so well with Dynavolt Tower. 2 energy naturally produced by it, an additional 2 by the tower. That means that casting it almost always means that a tower can then get activated.
Yeah.
And Jol passing, he does now have 6 mana up, but does not have any instants in the graveyard, so Torrential Gear Hulk, just for now, not too scary.
Yeah, he will need definitely to Glimmer into a Harness Lightning, because that's one of the few cards that can actually kill a 7/7 somewhat efficiently. But we know Jasper has plenty of cards, and I think I did see a Rishkar Pima Renegade in his hand, and he's lining up a Tireless Tracker as well, it seems. Oh, Greenbelt Rampager 2. His hand stacked.
Here is the Tireless Tracker. That's Jasper Grimmer there, not putting it right next to his other creatures initially. That's kind of where it's on the stack. He's at least offering Jol Larsen the opportunity to counter if he wishes. Plays a land and just passes there. He's just going to find a clue token. There we go. Ooh. Are we going to see an attack here? Seems likely. It's just a matter of how big an attack.
Alright, just the Gear Hulk. Winding Constrictor staying at home. Doesn't want to give Jol energy, it seems, without dealing some damage. Remember, the Gear Hulk has Trample. So
Glimmer of Genius before figuring out how blockers are going to go. Up to 7 energy. Scry 2.
Another Glimmer and a Hardness Lightning. I think he's going to keep both.
Both of these cards seem like they advance his game plan very nicely. Has to worry a little bit about a Blossoming Defense here. That would be a frustrating card to play against in this situation.
Yeah, and he wouldn't be the first one on the end of a blowout Blossoming Defense this weekend.
Yeah, it's very, very good against these control decks that are looking to use 1-for-1 removal, counter your removal, make my creature a bit bigger. Jol here looks like he's making some complicated decisions, but it strikes me as the one interesting bit there, I guess, is do you block with the Ether Thief to gain an energy first?
Yeah.
That's a little bit risky. It means that if there's a Blossoming Defense, the Blossoming Defense even better against you.
Yeah. There's Harness Lightning. Right, he's going to go up to... gains 2 from the tower, 3 from the Harness Lightning, so that means that at the end of the day he's going to go down to 5 energy. Which is still enough for a Lightning Bolt to take down the tracker, potentially.
There is follow-up though. Greenbelt Rampager coming along, eating a couple of energy as it comes into play.
You see, one of the main tensions on the board now is the Tireless Tracker and the Dynavolt Tower. Jol has exactly 5 energy to shoot it down, but if he would decide to go for that, Jasper could sacrifice the clue and get 2 +1/+1 counters thanks to the Winding Constrictor. So there, it's a bit of a game of who's going to blink first.
Unfortunately for Jol, one option available to Jasper is to simply play another land, get a second clue, and then that race is very much in Grimmer's favor. So Jasper Grimmer kind of just going about his business, and that enough to give Jol Larsen pause. But Yol has got to the mid game. He's got lands in play. He's got a Dynavolt Tower. He's got a bit of energy to work with. This is more or less what Team Dynavolt Tower wants. It's just that at the same time, this black-green deck is kind of full of threats.
Another Glimmer. So 9 energy. After that, Glimmer resolves. I think there was a Rogue Refine and a Tune with Ether. Maybe Jesper still has plenty of powerful cards in his hand. And now we're in the phase where the Tireless Tracker triggers on the stack, meaning that Joel Larsen is responding to the creation of the second clue. Finds a Gear Hulk and a Botanical Sanctum.
Now the Gear Hulk kind of nice here because it means that he knows that he can flashback Harness Lightning if he needs to deal with a big threat.
There are a lot of big threats though, and Jasper now facing off against 2 untapped mana, so that means no disallow. I think he's just gonna jam another Verger's Gear Hulk here. It's gonna be even bigger problem for Yol.
Yeah, we can see that there's a negate in hand for Yol Larsen. That not gonna stop a big Gear Hulk here.
Yeah, and pretty much the problem here is that Dynavolt Tower is not good at taking out any of the creatures on the battlefield because the Green Bell Rampage has 4 toughness, Constrictor has 5, Gear Hulk has 4, and the Tracker while alone has 2. He's still keeping up 2 mana open to sack a clue and get to make it a 5/4. And look at that, the value. He's getting the full value from the Gear Hulk and the Constrictor, of course.
Now, Shielded Ether Thief getting tapped here to draw a card. Yol Larsen really wants to be able to play something in response to this Verdurous Gear Hulk. Finds an Ether Hub, that no help.
Yeah, he's also a little bit rattled there. You know, he was drawing the card. They're just checking. He's unsure about how much energy he had. He's just checking if
he went from 9 to 6. It's possible that Jasper was looking at it thinking he had 6 to begin with.
Yeah, might have looked like a 6. But I think this game is not long for this world yet. Everything that was assigned to get 1 counter from the Gear Hulk is going to get 2 thanks to the Winding Constrictor, and now Jasper's board is, I think, unsurmountable for Yol. These Temur Tower builds, their sweepers are not good enough to take down this sort of army.
Every one of these creatures an absolute monster.
More Ether Thieves. They're really good against Scrap Heap Scroungers that stay small, but against the growing army of Jasper Grimmer, it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. And now I think Jasper could even take the opportunity to sacrifice a clue to put even more counters on the Tireless Tracker and draw a card.
Yeah, and you're respecting that. That's the reason for him placing the block up top there.
No, he's just going to add more to the board. A Glintsleeve Siphoner. He's just going to shoot that.
Happy to have something that he can shoot.
Yeah. He drew in Harness Lightning and he still has the Gear Hulk in his hand. I mean, he can... I think on his turn he could play Harness Lightning, Gear Hulk back, another Harness Lightning, block something. It's not out of the woods yet, but I think Jasper's creatures are just a tad too big for the job.
Yeah, when your smallest creature is still a lethal threat, problematic.
All right, so there's Harness Lightning to deal with the Tireless Tracker there. You're taking advantage of the fact that Jasper tapped out to play that Siphon of the previous turn. He's down to 4 energy. Well, down. Hasn't changed that much, but he still has 3 big ones to deal with here. He has 6 mana and untapped, so I think Jasper recognizes that a Torrential Gear Hulk is incoming. There's a Rish card, though.
Oh, Jasper weighing up his options.
He probably feels he can tap a little better here. Yeah, and use the mana to sack a clue first to give himself more options. Another Winding Constrictor.
That's kind of interesting. These Winding Constrictors do stack up pretty nicely.
All right, and there's a Rishkar. Pima Renegade. more bigger creatures. So now Jasper is playing it this way so that, of course, he gets more value out of the Winding Constrictors, but he needs to make sure that all of his creatures will survive a block of the Torrential Gearhulk, which is a 5/6. And the Green Belt Rampager so far is only 5/6 itself, so I think Jasper definitely wants to put a counter on the Rampager so that he has 6 power. And we'll see how much of this resolve. I think he's gonna try to kill the Verger's Gearhulk with the Torrential Gearhulk, flashing it back, as we like to say.
He's going to go up to 9 energy with casting this and have to use 6 of it to kill off Verger's Gearhulk here. Rishkapi Renegade still on the stack. When it comes in, it will get to give 2 creatures +1/+1 counters. And thanks to 2 copies of Winding Constrictor, each of those creatures will actually be getting 3 +1/+1 counters. This is what happens when you let Black-Green Constrictor play with its toys.
Yeah, and it's been in play forever. Growing up to a nice size as well. Now Yol in a tough spot trying to decide what he wants to kill. Remember, he also has the tower, so that's going to give him 2 extra energy, going up to 9 total. But he will need to use 6 to kill the Gearhulk, so I think he's going to go down to 3. This sort of energy math makes me happy that I could practice my little math. Counting to 10.
There we go.
Okay, now Rishkar resolves.
And let's see where all of these counters are going to go.
Well, I think Green Belt Rampager is going to get targeted. Yeah. And so does the Winding Constrictor. So that gets 2 counters. Yeah, and the 2 big guys.
Should be getting 3 each because of the double Winding Constrictor. And there we go. Joel just pointing that out.
How nice of him.
He's a good guy.
Green Belt Rampager is huge now. 8/9. The Winding Constrictor is 6/7. Chump block from the Torrential Gearhulk, looks like.
And Yol using some energy there to draw a card.
And the Jasper still also has a clue, and I think Yol just almost running out of cards. He's still trying to fight, trying to survive, and he's prolonging the game, but I don't think he has a way to actually win the game. Maybe better off just trying to concede here to save time for the next 2 games.
The chat suggesting that Baral's Expertise might be a good one for him here. I believe it would be. I'm not sure that that's a feature in Yol Larsson's deck list, at least not on the main deck. Second copy of Dynavolt Tower and Anticipate generating 4 energy for him now.
Yeah, one of the things that I think could have turned the game around on its head was if on turn 4, I think, Yol decided to play a Rogue Refiner rather than playing a second Dynavolt Tower. And I think that might have cost him the game because it would have enabled him to just generate more energy over these sorts of turns and make it easier to shoot down the creatures. So Jasper was just able to gain too much of an advantage.
Well, that's the first game for Jasper Grimmer, and not the only feature match that we have going on in our feature match area, though. A few other games that are going on we'll be able to talk you through. Danny DeRoy is playing Tom Law, both of those players on 30 points, so 10 wins thus far. You can see them just drawing some opening hands there. And Thomas Hendricks on the left-hand side of our screen, he's playing Don van Ravenswij. Each of these players doing all right too. 27 points for Thomas Hendricks, 25 for Don, so he's already picked up a draw somewhere along the way.
Yeah, we saw Don in the booth yesterday. Was doing pretty well, but now he gets to face off. You know, it's the Dutch battle. And Thomas Hendricks, a gold pro from the Netherlands, and just an established Dutch player on the Pro Tour, tested with the Team Genesis and has been part of Team Eureka before. So he's firmly established on the European scene, and Don has some good results on his under his resume. Back 3, 4, 5 years ago, a couple of top 25s at Pro Tours and whatnot, but hasn't been able to sustain a Pro Tour level status. So,
and we see that all the players, they are shuffling up. The reason that we're not showing you a game of Magic right now is that literally every single one of our games in our feature match area currently figuring out sideboarding. As soon as either Tom Law and Danny DeRoy have finished their sideboarding drawn hands, or indeed Yol Larsson and Jasper Grimmer have, we'll be able to jump into a little bit more Magic. It looks like we might be able to see a tiny bit of the Englishman Tom Law up against Danny DeRoy, because they're just checking out their opening hands now. It's a crazy race, though, to see whether or not they'll get started before Grimmer and Larsson.
Yeah, the English guy is doing decently well. Tom Law and Joao Sousa.
Yeah, both members of Team Axion now. Tom was actually on the English national team at the World Magic Cup this last year. Yeah, the guys at Axion now have been putting together some nice performances. You quite frequently see their shirts traveling around all of the different European GPs.
Oh, I know Tom Law for ever since the GP Lille, where it was Legacy and he went undefeated. Unfortunately, he got 10 wins and 5 draws because he was playing Miracles.
Yeah, not exactly what you want, but this time round he's on vehicle, starting things off with a Thraben Inspector, and conspicuously he's got 1 mana up. That could mean a fatal push in hand, but against Jeskai Sahili from Danny de Roy, it may well be that there's just not going to be too many targets early on.
Yeah, we like to call Danny's deck the Dutch Sahili deck, just because he's running Virtuoso's main deck, and that's what he called it in his deck list, but picked up his first loss earlier today.
Veteran Motorist on turn 3 here from Tom Law, again with 1 mana up. This time it's a red or a white, so a little inconsistent in which land he's leaving untapped.
Yeah, and Shock taking care of the Veteran Motorist there right away, and let's see if there are some good follow-ups from Danny DeRoy. Just a top wandering fumarole, and yeah, Tom Law is getting to the dangerous area of 4 mana. All 3 colors, and now usually time for a Chandra's, Gideon's, and Tom Law is going for the Chandra right away. Is there a negate from Danny Leroy? No, it doesn't look like there's a negate. So this is pretty, again, the pivotal moment of this sort of thing. And a reason why these Jeskai Sahili decks do keep their negates after sideboarding, because the Mardu Vehicles decks do board into a lot of really annoying planeswalkers.
Anticipates at the end of turn here for Danny Leroy, just looking for a little bit more action. He does now need to deal with planeswalkers, and this one of the interesting things about the way that some of these Mardu decks have evolved is after sideboarding they can kind of be like planeswalker aggro control decks, but we've heard that our first match is going. We're going to see if we can jump across and get back into that one, get a chance to see a little bit more of Jasper Grimmer's Black-Green Constrictor against Joel Larsen's Dynavolt Tower. The only play thus far, Glintsleeve Siphoner there coming along from Jasper Grimmer. Already got an energy, so he's going to be able to start thinking about spending some energy and indeed life to draw cards, but Joel Larsen says, I don't like the look of that. Harness Lightning, killing off the Siphoner and leaving him with a couple of energy himself.
Yeah, but unfortunately no third land for Joel Larsen was on the play here. No green mana either. That means it's going to make it that much harder. He has to start drawing lands. He does have another Hardness Lightning to deal with the Glainsleeve Siphoner and draws a Lumbering Falls. Whew, that was close.
He's just about got away with it and deals with another one of those 2/1s with one of his premium removal spells.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it might end up hurting him in the long run, especially when trying to deal with Verger's Gearhulks. Oh, look at that, but Jasper Grimmer has no way to punish the slow draw from Joel, and only swings in with a Hissing Quagmire on turn 3. Joel did not draw any more lands here. Does have a Disallow and Dynavolt Tower as a Confiscation Coup, Radiant Flames, lots of powerful cards. He just needs those lands.
Yeah, drew Disallow this turn, and it means that at least he's passing the turn and saying, if the best that you've got is a spell, I can stop that. 3-drop dealing with a 5-drop. Obviously, when you've both got the same different numbers of lands, they're spending all their mana to do so. But here is Dynavolt Tower, Spywater now coming into play tapped. Joel Larsen may have dodged a bullet here with a slightly ropey mana draw, but he's just about getting out of things. No, another Verdurous Gearhulk. This one getting all 4 counters. 8/8 on deck. Do we have the 5th land? Can he get enough mana, enough energy up for a big Confiscation Coup? It looks like he might.
Yeah, he's slowly getting there now. Anticipate finally to set up something for next turn. He only has 4 mana, so he definitely needs the fifth land for.
Finds Ether Hub up to 7 energy. Casts another Dynavolt Tower. That means that Confiscation Coup here could be gigantic.
Yeah, and remember, Confiscation Coup already it's stealing the creature depending on its converted mana cost, not its power or toughness. So while Joel has to take a big hit here, a total of 10. Well, he might shoot down the Hissing Quagmire, go down to 2 energy there. He didn't mark it down. Still takes 8. Yeah, there we go. Jasper's going like, yeah, you have to pay energy to do that.
All right.
Blossoming Defense would be huge here, but he's just going to go for a Confiscation Coup. Gets 4 energy from the 1 tower each. Boom. And that's going to swing out the game back around.
Yeah, now I'm the one with an 8-8. I also have these 2 Dynavolt towers. What have you got for me, Jasper Grimmer?
Yeah. Funnily enough, Jasper Grimmer has Grasp of Darkness and Fatal Push in his hand to deal with creatures, but it's not enough to deal with a Virtuous Gear Hulk. By the way, maybe as murder? Yeah, he has to spend his own murder to get rid of the Gear Hulk, and can only attune for more lands here. Yeah,
Jasper Grimmer avoiding being hoisted by his own petard there, has to kill off the Virtuous Gear Hulk. But at least now Joel Larsen has stabilized this board a little bit. He's got those Dynavolt towers active, a bit of energy to work with. 5 energy means there's 1 bullet in the gun already, and he's got another Confiscation Coup in hand. So if Jasper wants to continue making big threats, Joel might very well let him.
Yeah, and Joel also finally has the time and mana and the card Glimmer of Genius, so that he's going to get huge amounts of energy. This is interesting. Transgress the Mind, it's going to make it interesting, but I think he's going to Glimmer in response anyway, because that's most likely the card that Jasper would have taken. And this way he generates 6 total energy, and he'll give Jasper something to think about when he sees the hand. Yeah, he's going to keep 1 attune with Ether, because that can't be discarded. It's basically land.
He sees another Glimmer of Genius off the top there. Radiant Flames, Dynavolt Tower, Confiscation Coup, along with that Glimmer of Genius and the Attune with Ether that he got from Glimmer of Genius.
Yeah, funnily enough, it seems like Jasper just didn't account for the fact that Joel will most likely sideboard out Rogue Refiners as he scoops up his cards and kept him too much removal.
Yeah, Joel Larsen there, a little smirk. It's not often that your opponent transgress the minds and then just concedes.
Yeah.
On 20 life, no less. That wants to make sure there's enough time in game 3. Joel basically in full command of that game. 2 towers in play, a 3rd one coming along soon enough. We get a chance to jump back and look at Tom Law. He dropped the first game. There's a Nahiri in play for Danny Leroy, but there's also a Chandra on 6 loyalty, Heart of Kiran, Pia Nalar. It's a family affair there on the right-hand side, story-wise. Chandra and Pia along with Heart of Kiran.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Flavor win.
Mum, Dad, and Chandra.
Well, I mean, it's pretty sad that...
Dad's car.
Yeah, pretty much. There's also Needle Spires there, threatening the board, and Danny Leroy just taking care of the Pia there. He's not doing that well on the life total aspect, but at least he has a Wandering Fumarole that he can use to attack the Chandra down a little bit.
Now Chandra can crew Heart of Kiran here.
Yeah.
As it turns out, though, Mardu Vehicles always has the unlicensed disintegration.
I know it's like a meme now, but it's actually like every single time it's what is happening.
If it weren't for the fact that it's apparently just true, I would stop saying it.
All right. Ether Hub, not Tom Law, not interested in that. It's going to go to the Dome.
And Tom Law getting perilously close here to being able to
he has the win.
Get Chandra up top, but instead it's just a big attack with Needle Spires and a Heart of Kiran. Still hasn't used that Chandra, and that's enough to square up this. It's 1-1 here between Danny Leroy and Tom Law, and we're going to get a chance to jump back as Jasper Grimmer and Joel Larsen still shuffling up for their game 3.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get to see some of that match, because that also looked like an interesting matchup. And but I wonder now if Jasper is going to switch gears a little bit here, because he was in this game he was stuck with a Grasp of Darkness in his hand and Fatal Push in his hand. Of course he recognized because he saw Shielded Ether Thieves and Rogue Refiners. But I think Joel, on the other side of the table, Joel thinks that these creatures are too small to matter against the monsters from Jasper. So he's rather going to board him out and try to win the game with Confiscation Coups and Gear Hulks and Towers and whatnot. And this stranded the removal spells from Jasper Grimmer.
Yeah, Jasper Grimmer, at least he gained a bit of information as to how Joel Larsen's sideboarding. It wouldn't be surprising at all to me if Grimmer ended up going with a slightly different plan for this game 3 than he went with in game 2. I mean, things like the Winding Constrictor, perfect against Joel Larsen because they're a small creature that represents kind of a big threat. Meanwhile, when you're casting Verdurous Gear Hulk and your opponent's answering it for the same or less mana, that's where things get a little bit awkward.
Yeah. Let me just try to pull up Jasper's deck list so that I can see what he can board in. Okay, this is a little bit harder to read because there's random markings all over the deck list from Jasper. He apparently has some sort of system to note this down. But he has Tower Strike. I think He's going to board in the natural obsolescences, Lifecrafter's Bestiary, Transgressed Mind, Obnixila's Reignite. Yeah, he's a lot of Cyber cards to board in.
Even something like Distended Mindbender might be kind of interesting if he chooses to go the route of attacking Jol Larsson's hand as these players draw their opening 7s.
Yeah, and sometimes the games go long enough that you can actually just hardcast it and get 2 cards, so let's just have a look at what's going on there. All right, Winding Constrictor, that's where you want to be, and Jol Larsson has not killed it right away.
He has a Shielded Ether Thief with which to block, but chooses to go a different route here. Maybe a negate in hand that he wants to be able to employ if needed. Lifecrafter's Bestiary coming along. No Pokedex for you, Jasper Grimmer. The Bestiary, a card that's not universal in black-green, but I kind of like it. It means that you have this great long game plan, and with something like Rishkar, Pima Renegade, it's easy to find the extra green mana to be able to use it whenever you're casting a creature. So Snake getting stuck in there. Jol Larsson's life total going down slowly but surely. Long Tusk Club might mean it's a bit of a quicker clock, though. Works very, very nicely with the Winding Constrictor, assuming that you can get a bit of energy on deck.
Yeah, Jol Larsson does have the Shielded Ether Thieves, but he wasn't budging just yet. He was waiting on the gate mana, and look at that. Jasper did keep some removal in, so has the Grasp. It might be that Jol Larsson now decided to board the Thieves back in now that he's on the draw.
Now, Jol Larsson, he's got 3 lands, but does not have double blue for the disallow that he's just drawn. This is a slightly clunky draw for him. Let's see whether or not he can find a way out of it.
Yeah, he's still waiting because he has a second negate and as well as a harness lighting, but I think he's just waiting for combat. He definitely has to kill one of the 2 creatures.
Kind of an interesting decision as to which. Both of them a threat in their own right.
Yeah, they work wonderfully together, and he goes for the Long Tusk Cup. I like that plan.
One remaining energy for Jol Larsson here. Takes a hit of 2 again from this Snake.
Hey, so
nibbling away.
Is it time? No. Again, just like in the game 2, Jasper cannot punish Jol Larsson from tapping out with something like Obnixila's Reignited or some other very big play, and Jol just draws another green sword, but at least this might enable something like a Glimmer of Genius.
Yeah, while he's only got 1 blue mana, he's basically relegated to playing 1 spell a turn for a while. At least for now, I believe the coast is kind of clear for this Snake to continue nibbling away at Jol Larsson's life total. So far, all of the damage that has come through has come from this Winding Constrictor, and while there is the option of Shielded Ether Thief at some point, it looks like Jol wants to kick things off with Glimmer of Genius. Gradually gets a few more creatures in play here, Jasper Grimmer.
Yeah, digging for lands. There's an Ether Hub and a Tune with Ether. Both important. Probably going to keep both as well. He has double tower, disallow, and negate in his hand. So I think what he wants to do is maybe play the Ether Hub and Dynavolt Tower with negate backup, but he would fall behind on the board quite a bit. So he may want to decide that he wants the shield, the Attune with it, so he gets up to 5 energy, and then also Dynavolt Tower, so he can shoot down the Winding Constrictor. Tough decisions here. Oh, Confiscation Coup. There we go. In this spot, it's actually pretty nice because he has the Ether Hub to get the second blue. It's also it generates energy, and stealing a green belt Rampager is super nice because you only have to pay 1 energy. And he's going to wait.
Starting things off with Dynavolt Tower. That costs him 3 mana. Any spell that he casts here is going to get him up to 5 energy such that he can start shooting things down.
I like this.
Attune with Ether. Before anything happens with that extra energy, Natural Obsolescence to put that Dynavolt Tower right on the bottom of Jol Larsson's deck. That a big play from Jasper Grimmer. Jol would love to have been able to kill off that Winding Constrictor now.
Definitely. And now Jol is almost tapped out. If there's a Verger's Gearhulk, this game might already be over. Well,
we do know that there's Confiscation Coup in hand for Jol Larsson.
But just
he
a
elects
big
to play
swing.
the tower over the coup.
Yeah, but just a Gearhulk here would mean that Jasper could put in total 6 +1/+1 counters, which would mean he would be 1 short of killing Jol Larsson, but I think if he had a Gearhulk, he would have already smashed it down. So I assume Jasper has something else going on. He still has a Hissing Quagmire, so he can still swing over for a total of 7, which is not bad. And this is looking at the Yol's graveyard.
All good spells that are in the graveyard, but in spite of this, Jol Larsen on 12, Jasper Grimmer on 20, and Grimmer the only one with any non-land permanents in play.
Mm. No Hissing Quagmire, no Verger's Gearhulk, just a swing for 5 here. So what is the follow-up from Jasper Grimmer? Okay, Tireless Tracker, no land though. Yeah. Now the confiscation coup now becomes a little bit more awkward just because stealing the tracker is fine, but you also have to expend more energy to do so. And the green, if you would want to steal the biggest creature, which is the Green Bell Rampager, it's just it will be tapped, so it can't block on your turn. So there's still some decisions to be made by Yol. I think he's still going to take the tracker, but
well, there's a tower.
okay. But playing the land already, it makes me think that he doesn't want to play the tracker because I'm sure he wouldn't want to pass up on a clue there. So he's probably going to go for tower with this slough and a gate backup.
Tower kills off the Tireless Tracker.
But he's putting himself dead on board. Almost, because the Hissing Quagmire plus the creatures on board make him die. But what he can do, he has a disallow to counter the activated ability here to survive, and that's exactly what he does. Swings in for 5. Jol Larsen down to 2 though.
He now has enough energy to be able to kill off another creature.
Yeah, that was a sweet play.
I mean, this is all really clinging on with every turn.
Yeah. And the problem now that he can now kill the Winding Constrictor and steal the Green Bell Rampager, but then he's dead to the Hissing Quagmire. So it's still, he's just lacking like something, like a Harden's Lightning or even a Shock would be great here.
Yeah, he has Negate in hand, but he still needs to deal with what's already on the battlefield here. Tough times for the 25th ranked player in the world, member of Team Channel Fireball Ice, Jol Larsen playing Teamer Dynavolt Tower.
And like he really tried, he disallowed the activated ability from the Hissing Quagmire, stave off death for one more turn, and now he doesn't even play the confiscation coup. Now he's going to try to bluff Torrential Gearhulk, and this is a good call to make. You need to be a good player to do so, and this could be the kind of play that wins Jol the game, because by playing the cards in his hand, he will not win. The best he can do is try to bluff that he has a Torrential Gearhulk in his hand.
Torrential Gearhulk would be gigantic on this board.
And but Jasper Grimmer, if he just goes for it, he's gonna. We know that he's gonna win, and Jol has to try Hollywooding here to make the sell.
Tonight is the Oscars. He's picked a good time for it, and Jasper Grimmer here.
Oh, Jasper Grimmer went for it. Didn't animate his Hissing Quagmire, which makes me think he also has some removal spell. But yeah, he just attacked with his 2 creatures, and it was enough. Yeah, Jol was explaining that I could have done this. I could have played the confiscation coup, but I would have been dead to Hissing Quagmire. Jol really tried hard, but it wasn't to be.
And so we get a chance to jump across and see the deciding game between Danny Leroy with Jeskai Sahili, sometimes referred to as the Dutch Sahili deck. Red, white and blue like the Netherlands flag, and 2 Oiler Virtuosos. Those are main deck, but still showing up after sideboarding. Mardu vehicles, it's just Gideon and a friendly ally token there.
Yeah, there's a Heart of Kieran for Tom Law in his hand, Veteran Motorist.
Chandra Torch of Defiance also, and
yeah.
Gideon getting stuck in here.
Maybe Chandra plus for 2 mana and play Heart of Kieran as well. Oh, he doesn't have an artifact, so he doesn't have double red. So that's why he can't play Chandra here. Just going to kick it off with a Veteran Motorist. And I assume what it was going to be a Heart of Kieran as well. It's unfortunate here for Tom Law.
Yeah, couldn't get the good sequence, if you will. Still, Heart of Kieran alongside Veteran Motorist. That a substantial creature indeed. Can use a loyalty to crew up the Heart of Kieran as well if he chooses. If he needs 3 blockers rather than 2. As things stand though, on 20 life, Tom Law looking all right here.
Yeah, still fine. Plenty of time to find gas, and we know that the Mardu vehicles decks after Cyber, they have a lot of big hitting spells. Danny Roy has a very strong hand, like lots of cards. I saw a Felidar Guardian too. And he's just swinging at the Gideon here. Maybe he has a way to deal with the Heart of Kiran if he gets accrued here.
Yeah, Danny Roy, plenty of tricks up his sleeve with the Jeskai Sahili deck.
Right, there's some blocks, so the 3/1 Waters jumps in the way of one of the World of Virtues, and the Night Ally token is gonna die protecting his Planeswalker. Takes one from the Thopter. It's interesting that Tom Law didn't want to expose his Heart of Kiran to any sort of removal. That was quite an interesting play. He probably is smelling something from Danny DeRoy's side.
Well, post-combat, there's another Well of Virtuoso.
Yeah.
They just keep on coming.
Yeah, 2 cards still.
3 energy coming along with that Well of Virtuoso, so at least 1 Thopter.
Oh, another Gideon from Tom Law. He put that on top.
So he could spend a loyalty here to crew Heart of Kiran and then play a new Gideon. He's also got the option at Chandra now that he has additional, he's an artifact in play, so his Spire of Industry is active.
Okay, so he's going to go for the Chandra here. No negate, no negate.
All right. 4 loyalty for the fresh Planeswalker.
Yeah, I think at this point Tom Law should plus both Planeswalkers. It's 5, reveal a card. Oh, Thraben Inspector. I was thinking he's probably going to exile and deal 2 damage for any card, but I think the Thraben Inspector is just enticing enough just so that he gets the clue and a blocker into play.
Worth it.
Yeah, pretty much. And now he's going to swing with both. Let's swing for a lot of damage. Or just swing with the Gideon.
Just with Gideon.
Okay. I can get behind that. Again, not exposing his Heart of Kiran until he has to. He might smell Harness Lightning from Danny DeRoy.
Yeah, Danny's left mana up and 2 cards in hand. You have to consider what those cards might be.
Yeah, he just chump blocked with a Thopter token that he created using his energy. This is a super tense game 3, and both players at 10-1. The winner will be in very good shape to make top 8, only needing 1 win in 3 rounds.
Yeah, Team Axion now has a number of players that have flirted with success at GP level. K.O. Patel has picked up at least 1 GP win.
I mean, we're finally getting some good players in England for a change.
We've had our Pro Tour finalists. I know. You've been a Pro Tour finalist yourself. You understand that getting to the finals is still pretty good. We've still yet to pick up a Pro Tour win, though.
Yeah. I mean, there was a time when the Matteo the Orsini Jones brothers, Matteo and Marco, were doing the rounds, and some other solid players all around, of course. But now it's Eduardo Sajgalik getting the top 8, even though he's not technically English anymore.
No, he's moved to Canada and adjusted his nationality in terms of where he plays for to be Canadian to reflect his new residency.
He could be in a lot of countries as a national of a country, because I know he has roots back to France, Peru, and his name is actually Slovak. We always chuckle about that whenever we talk. All right, not much has happened in this turn. That's why we chatted for a bit. Danny DeRoy played a Glimmer of Genius, played the Needle Spires, then passed the turn and put in the ball firmly in Tom Low's court here.
Suspiciously still got that 2 mana up, and that may impact on how Tom wants to play these turns. Painful Truths in hand for
like
Tom Law.
So it's a 3 mana draw, 3 lose 3 life. Especially if you want to press your opponent's deck, it's a decent card. Chandra goes plus. Take 2, Danny DeRoy. You can see the change of pace also. Danny playing more defensively here. He stopped attacking the Planeswalkers, And now it's going to mean that Gideon is going to swing in. And Tone Law is also playing it a little bit slow here. And I actually like it because he knows he has some other good follow-ups in the Painful Truths. But I think Tom Law might be also trying to respect the Saheeli Rai Felidar Guardian combo, because Danny could just do it anytime.
And I do see that Danny does have Felidar Guardian in hand. Not sure if he's picked up a Saheeli yet, but I can't imagine that he would have completely sided out the combo here.
Yeah, Tom actually drew 2 lands and a Selfless Spirit here, but I think he's just going to play a Mountain and represent Unlicensed Disintegration just to make Danny think that he has it in his hand. Oh no, he just plays a Selfless Spirit and passes the turn. Interesting. So does Danny have the combo here?
It would be a big swing if he gets there. Torrential Gearhulk the pickup for Danny DeRoy this turn. That has a Glimmer of Genius, has a Shock in the graveyard already, so a couple of options for the big blue mythic.
Yeah, not a bad card. But Tom Low's board is growing with every turn. He has to be very careful, and the Chandra is just giving him an incremental advantage. Now Danny's passing the turn. He has the Torrential Gearhulk, so he's going to put that to good use. And now there's another Gideon from Tom Law. He has 2 stuck in his hand. He thought he scarred 1 to the top in one of the previous turns. There's a plus from Chandra. It's a Scrappy Scrounger. That's enticing. It's a good creature.
Now, Chandra threatening her ultimate next turn. -7 to give you an emblem. That means that whenever you cast a spell, the emblem deals 5 damage to target creature or player. Danny DeRoy, as much as he might have been kind of ignoring Chandra, he's going to have to pay attention to her from now on.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Tom Law is already lining up some attacks with the Heart of Kieran. He probably can be a little bit less scared because he also has the Selfless Spirit in play. And there's a Gideon attacking and the Heart of Kieran attacking as well. I think. Yeah, Danny DeRoy must be really scared of Unlicensed Disintegration, because if we've learned something over this weekend, the Mardu players always has it. And this might be the first time that they don't have it. But Danny DeRoy does not know that.
Yeah, Danny does have cards in hand, plenty of mana to work with. Yes, he's making a Thopter token with that Well of Virtuoso. With one of those 2 Well of Virtuosos, I should say.
Yeah. Could still play Gearhulk? No, it's too late for that, it seems. Just doesn't want to get punished, doesn't want to tap out unless he has to. But I think he's going to go for it here.
End of turn. Here's a Torrential Gearhulk.
Yeah, it's going to resolve.
The Gearhulk, not a bad one to blink with Saheeli, but I think that Felidar Guardian is pretty much the high water mark for where you're going to work there.
Honestly, if I was Danny, I would have played the Torrential Gearhulk in combat to block the Gideon, because that would entice Tom Law to expend an Unlicensed Disintegration or a Shock, even a Shock, much more than when he plays the end of turn. Because I want Tom Law to play one of those 2 cards, because he's obviously trying to find the second part of the combo. Ooh, okay, release the Gremlins.
There's a couple of artifacts that you can be targeted here.
Yeah, he also has an Immolating Glare. Now he has to worry about the Gideon first and foremost, but at least now he has a 5/6 blocker. I think Danny DeRoy is going to figure out very soon that Tom actually does not have an Unlicensed Disintegration.
He does have to worry about Chandra as well, though. 7 loyalty, the emblem looming.
That's the problem.
It's not too often that we see Chandra's emblem coming to play, but when it does, I mean, the reason we call them Planeswalker Ultimates is that they tend to end games pretty quickly once they happen.
Yeah, and I don't know what Danny wants to do about it. I mean, I don't get to see all of his cards. He does have, okay, he drew an Oath of Chandra. So he can try to kill Selfless Spirit. Okay. I think that's going to get sacrificed to make his team indestructible. Yeah, remember, Tom Law also has a Shambling Venom among his lands, so that gives him an underground blocker if he desires.
So Tom Law animating Heart of Kieran in response with
thinking about
Gideon.
Ooh, look at that! He goes for the Chandra one. Doesn't want to go for the emblem, even though Danny's so low.
Respecting here that Danny must have something to deal with Chandra. Animating Shambling Vent as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is all with the Oath of Chandra targeting Selfless Spirit. Now the Selfless Spirit sacrifices. All of those creatures are indestructible.
There we go. So his big team of indestructibles, but why didn't he take a counter off of Gideon there? Just to threaten the
I guess maybe concerned about a shock.
Potentially, yeah, but just not a virtuoso. More energy, more Thopters. This game is very interesting because it's not the kind of obvious magic that you see, and both players are trying hard to play around certain cards. It makes it look like both players are not playing optimally, but just because we have a lot of the information of the cards in their hands, but they don't, so just trying their best at navigating the game.
So, I mean, Tom still gets to use Chandra to good effect here, effectively drawing an extra card every turn.
Yeah.
Draws another Gideon, so back up to 7 loyalty, reveals a mountain. That's 2 damage to Danny. He's on 5 now.
What did he draw? Is that Nahiri? Oof. Oh no, I think it's an Avacyn. It's another good card to hold off any potential blockers.
Yeah, this is still a rough game for Danny DeRoy to win, and I guess that I can kind of see from Tom Law's perspective, playing it a little bit slower, being a little bit more careful, trying to play around everything when you're this far ahead on life and you can kind of see the ability to win the game. So immolating glare here coming from Danny DeRoy, that aimed at Heart of Kiran.
I think that's going to prompt Tom Law into action.
Is it time for Avacyn? It looks like it might be. There she is. Indestructibility, 2 turns in a row for creatures for Tom Law. Not much in the way of responses from Danny DeRoy to that one. Another Thopter getting in the way of the attacks from Tom Law. The first 15 or so, pretty easy for the Mardu Vehicles deck. This last 5, though, proving more problematic. Tom Law, so many different ways that he can close the game out. The emblem has to look tempting now. Your opponent's on 5 life.
Yeah. There's the emblem thread. I also like, there's also the pretty interesting option actually animating Gideon into a creature and then just crewing it 4 times to have it die to trigger Avacyn for the flip. Yeah, Daniel's like, okay, I need to make sure I know what this does.
Yeah, there's a lot of very powerful mythics in play for Tom Law right now.
Yeah.
Thraven Inspector feeling like the sort of the odd man out, I guess, on this board for Tom Law.
Then it's like, yeah, sorry, I didn't quite get that.
I read everything I could see, but I recognize there's maybe a little bit more to be read here.
Yeah. Remember, the once Archangel Avacyn flips, she deals 3 to everything, including players. Or opponents, rather. Yeah, each other creature and each opponent. Just like Danny DeRoy, I had to make sure by looking it up, because you never know.
It's always safer to figure out. Fellow Guardian just been sat in hand, looking for a friend.
Indeed. Yeah, now it's like, okay, emblem time? Okay, first extra turn. Come on, Tom. Just pull the emblem and start firing off spells. We know you can do it. Oh, you even have a Thraben Inspector. Emblem. Let's go. We know he's a deliberate player. Look at that.
You got to make sure. You got to make sure on these things.
Screw Heart of Kiran first.
Tick up, tick down.
Oh no. He's not using the emblem.
I guess, as chat's pointing out, it's worth considering that disallow is an option.
Screw that. Emblem. Emblem. Do it. And of course, Tom's doing a good job of just trying to get Danny to tap out as much as possible, expend as much resources, and he's playing it slow, but no, he's plussing, come on.
Attacks to 1 and then pluses.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it is, he's going to say, yeah, you can take the damage on.
Yeah, there you go. And a high five to end it up. All right, Tom Law at 11-1. Didn't go for the emblem, but did have the win regardless, so that would have been much cool, though.
It's our job to look for the cool play. It's his job to make sure he finds a way of winning the game. I think that's probably fair enough.
Yeah, that's true.
We are now done with our matches in the feature match area. We're going to very briefly just stop and restart the stream, but do not go anywhere. We will be back very shortly. Rich will hopefully have a time walk match for you, and then, of course, we'll be able to get things going with round 13. Unlucky for someone.